It's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to talk about it, but National Signing Day is come and gone. There's a lot of football coaches out there that would like to have two national holidays. One, the day after the Super Bowl. Two, National Signing Day. Hello again, everyone. Brian Staten, joined by Pioneer coach Jerry Odom. By the way, I'm Brian.
Yeah, Jerry. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you as well. It has definitely been a very trying year for a lot of people throughout the entire world, and it has affected our little town here in Greenville as well, here at Tusculum. And so football season, interestingly enough, will have meaning for the spring as the Pioneers will kick off the season on March 6th. But before we get there, we have some guys to talk about, some guys that you have been out recruiting. We got a new staff that has come in here. There's a lot of excitement for the football. But I guess before we really get started, just what has it been like not having the fall here? You had the chance to watch football, but you didn't get the opportunity to play.
Yeah, it was strange. I think that we got a lot out of it as far as, we're able to really evaluate a lot of kids. Obviously, you couldn't go out, in the community as much. You watch a lot of film on kids when it comes to recruiting. But it's been tough. I mean, it's been tough on everybody. You're trying to make sure your kids are doing the right things and you're testing and all the things that come along with it. Wearing your mask around town, right? When you're out in the community, we're just trying to do what they've asked us to do. That's the bottom line. And I think our staff, we do have a lot of new guys and a lot of new faces on our staff. Has done an outstanding job of recruiting. They've really gotten out in Tennessee and done a really good job locally, I believe. And we've cherry picked here or there with some out-of-state kids, and I'm really excited about the class and excited about this team, and looking forward to hopefully getting to play some football here in the spring.
I know in our socially distant studio here today, you have to talk about you want to be the best bubble team, and that seems to be the main theme throughout the country. Do you feel as if you've been able to accomplish a lot?
Well, I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job so far, but that could change at the drop of a hat. That's what we constantly tell them. You constantly have to be vigilant on doing the right things, proper spacing. I mean, meetings have changed, lower numbers, really spread apart. We're having to meet at different times, meet with different groups. Everything you do has to change in a pandemic, and I think that's one of the things that we've tried as a staff to embrace as much as possible, understanding that, it's not any fun, but it's not any fun for anybody. So if you're going to be disciplined, you got to be disciplined in it every day and try to get the most out of your kids in a very, very strange situation. We've never had to practice here in February. It's a challenge, trying to, get out on the field and everything else. Everybody says, well, you guys have an IPF, but yes, there's 24 other sports that might want to use that as well, and we have to obviously work around that. So sometimes it's been very early mornings, 5:30 in the morning practices, and we're getting outside when we can, and we're working in different groups. Again, you can't have that many people in the IPF, so it's just a battlefield adjust. You can't worry about it, but I really believe our kids deserve to play football. They have been through so much, and this is an opportunity, hopefully this spring, for them to get 4 or 5 games in and compete. We always try to compete for whatever we do and be the best we can at that situation, and that's what we're going to try to do. It could be a strange year, with that too. You just don't know what's going to happen. We got to, like you said, be the best bubble team that we can possibly be.
The bottom line is there's kids about 4 years ago that were going through this very same process, National Signing Day, that anticipated to be able to play football when they got to college. So that's why we're going to play football this year.
Amen.
We got a great class.
We do.
I think, we've got some transfers that are going to come in, make some immediate impacts. We'll talk a little bit about them, but there's some high school kids that are going to come in here and obviously see them develop and see some kids that be able to take advantage. What I'd love about what you do is if that kid has that opportunity straight out of high school, he's going to be on the field. And you're going to hear a lot of things and a lot of terms that, that kid can ball. And if he's going to be that way, then he's going to be out there on the field. So we're going to learn about these kids today, and hopefully through the process next season, through the fall, and maybe in the coming years, we're going to learn a lot more about them. So let's go ahead and get right into it. National Signing Day 2021. Got rid of that 2020. We're going to start with a guy in Reggie Lum, and a kid that comes out of Lakeland, Florida, and obviously very high, I think, on this kid.
Yeah, real high on this kid. Really fast kid. He's tall for running back. 6 foot. He may be closer to 6'1", 170 to 175 pounds. We think he's got a really big frame. We think with a year in the weight room, he's got a chance to be possibly a 185, 190 pound guy. The thing you love about him, very versatile. Plays tailback, lines up at receiver, returns kicks. does a lot of things for him. And Lakeland High School down in Florida is probably one of the premier programs in the state of Florida. So he's been coached up. Bill Castle's a legend down there, and they, constantly run a good program. Very old school, so he's been coached and, probably hard, when it comes to that kind of stuff. But we were fortunate to get Reggie. I think this whole thing's been a little bit weird with COVID, is that you're getting some kids that some years you may not know if you would get, and we just liked his versatility. Right there, you see him catching a ball at wide receiver against an arch rival in Lakeland Kathleen. We got the two twins out of Lakeland Kathleen last year. They're running track and playing football for us. They're really good kids, and this is against Tampa Bay Tech, who was a semifinal team also this past year. So we think Reggie's got a really bright future, and we're excited to get him.
A kid that's next out of Ravenwood High School. I'm going to like this. This is a guy, one of my college soccer teammates, I should say. Moved down there to Middle Tennessee, and they went to Ravenwood. Zach Maskey, he talked about him. He says, you're going to like this kid.
Yeah, he's tough, man. We're probably going to play him at tight end. We had a little tryout day, and Zach came to our tryout. And the thing about him is he played mostly D end. He's not bad at D end either. He's about 230 now. When we weighed him in, I think he was 229 at camp, and our little tryout deal. And the thing we liked about him, he can run, he can catch. He just happened to play against, behind one of the best tight ends in the country there at Ravenwood. He's a Power 5 guy, everything else. So they wanted to get him on the field, so they played him at D-line. But he can really catch and run. We were we didn't know much about him until he came to the tryout, and he really impressed Coach Bell, Coach Turtnett, our tight ends coach, with his toughness, how he works, and he's a great kid, exuberant, really good guy that works hard. I'm excited to get him and get some guys from that Murfreesboro area, some more. We have a few, but I'd like to get some more because I think it's a really good football area.
It is, no question about it. Another good area is McMinn County. Excited about Garrett Priest just because it's a couple of offensive linemen you're going to pick out of there.
Yeah, Garrett Priest, he's not super tall, but he's just a dog. I mean, he finishes plays. He's about 265 now. Love this kid. We had him in camp this summer. We were able to get him up for camp and just fell in love with his work ethic, his attitude, his nasty demeanor, and he's a really smart kid, great team guy. I think he'll come in and our offensive line coach, John Peacock's done a great job with our guys already, and I think this is the kind of guy he wants, a guy that's very athletic, get out in space on screens, does little things. So we don't, I'm the last guy who should be worried about height, and stuff like that on a player. I told him, I said, you're not going to post anybody up, but you can dang sure block a bunch of folks, and he does that really, really well. I like this kid a lot. Garrett's a good football player.
Another kid, quarterback heavy here at Tusculum, but I'm telling you right now, when you go get some of the best athletes you can possibly get, Trey Simmons comes to mind.
Yeah, Trey Simmons is special. We really like him. We felt like getting him was a big hit for us. He was a 3-star out of the Tampa area, Bloomingdale High School. Threw for almost 3,000 yards, ran for another 700 or 800. He's a true dual threat, 4'5", 40 guy, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Really played in a good system. Bloomingdale got beat in the semifinals by the eventual state champion, St. Thomas Aquinas down there. But they had an unbelievable season, and really he's a guy. We got 2 quarterbacks, or really 3 quarterbacks that all are going to come in here and really do some good things. Maybe 4. I mean, there's a bunch of them. But that the one thing we talked about, Coach Bell is our quarterback coach OC. He really believes if you don't have a quarterback, and he's right, you don't have anything. So you always got to be quarterback heavy in your recruiting concepts, and then let them compete and let it kind of fall out where it does. But we're really excited to have Trey on board, just with his athleticism, his arm, all the things he did. He was one of the best players probably in 6A in football this past year in the state of Florida.
Quarterback heavy, talk about that. We're going to talk a bit more about the quarterbacks as well for this Pioneer team. And a kid, as we continue on, just down the road in Gatlinburg, Pittman High School in Gatlinburg, and Ethan Stennett. And I've seen this kid play, had the opportunity. Seems to be a good route runner.
Really like it, man. Smooth. He's really smooth. And we really liked him from the get-go out of Gatlinburg. I think Coach Peacock has that area, but Coach Bell and Coach Anderson really, really liked him. Coach Dickey, they thought a lot of him. We brought him in on a visit, really liked the family, liked him as a person. But I just think he's a longer guy. He's 6 foot tall, but he's just kind of a long strider. I think for us, he probably fits in our Z, probably a Z type guy, outside type receiver that's going to run a lot of dig, post, crossing routes, things of that nature. And I just think it's a really good pickup from a local kid. I think he's one of the better local receivers in the state of Tennessee. I really do. I think a lot of this kid, and I love his personality and who he is as a person.
I think he'll have a good future.
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
At Tusculum, for sure. A kid that probably is going to be the hugest standout for Halls High School down in Knoxville is Xander Allen.
Yeah, Xander's a defensive end. He'll probably play either D end or bandit for us, depending on how big he gets. I just liked his motor, man. This kid's he's an all-out, go out, get him, play fast type guy. Great effort guy. Like I said, high motor, does everything the right way. I think he's relatively physical. I think the biggest thing with him just getting bigger and stronger in the weight room as he gets here. But he'll get, if he can do it, he'll get in the mix right away. I mean, I like his makeup. And what we do with our ends, we want athletic guys. We want guys who can run because we're gonna drop them some. We're gonna do different things with them. But I think he's a good fit in that deal.
A lot of good kids coming out of Knoxville as well because they win state championships seems like every year. Yeah. Another good one, another wide receiver that you're going to be pulling out, Burke.
Tyler Burke, man, he'll play F for us, our little like a slot guy. This guy can roll, man. He's quick. He can really run. He's only 5'6" or 5'7". We have a saying, the ball ain't heavy, around here, and he can really do it. He's a great guy, runs good routes, but he's a bubble screen, jet sweep, that kind of guy. You can motion him, put him in the backfield. You can do a lot of different things with this kid. He's tough, had really good grades. We got a kid out of there last year that we really like out of the same school, and they're friends, so that helps. But I just think this kid can do a lot for us. Punt returns, kickoff returns. You can't ever have too much speed on your team. That's one thing we always talk about is trying to get more athletic at the wide receiver position. I think we've done that this year with transfers and signing some of these other guys, and I think it's going to show.
Pioneer Nation name Justin Houston comes to mind when I see Burke play just a little bit there. So
I would agree with that.
That would be very good. And Justin Houston obviously was great for the Pioneers. Welcome to Pioneer Nation, Mr. Burke. Another kid, but a little bit taller for a wide receiver. It's 6'2", and Cory Moreau down in the Charleston area in Moncks Corner. Yeah,
Cory Moreau was a kid that played small school ball down in the Charleston area in Moncks Corner, but we really think this kid's got a lot of potential. Hadn't been in the game a whole lot, like new to the game, relatively new to the game, but when you see him run routes, he makes guys miss, he's long. We just think there's a big upside with Cory, and him and his family came up for a visit, really liked it. We enjoyed them, and I think, he's got a lot of potential. He's a really long, like I said, when you're a 6'2" guy that's long like that, I think you can find a way, probably be more of an X for us to start with.
It's one of the things you want to build your program around, and that is the offensive line. It seems like down in the southern part of the state of Tennessee, they continue just to produce offensive linemen. Our next recruit that we'll talk about will be Caden Moore, and he's a big kid out of Cleveland, Tennessee, from Bradley Central High School. And in that particular area that I see a lot of, and that is Meigs County High School, and I see McMinn County High School, and now Bradley Central High School in that same particular area in Cleveland, Tennessee. Will be Caden Moore, 6'3", 310 offensive lineman for the Pioneers this season.
Yeah, Caden's another big guy. We don't have enough offensive linemen, so that was one of the things that we felt like was really important for us to get some more offensive linemen. We don't have any seniors, but we don't, or a whole lot of seniors, right. But we just felt like growing the depth in the offensive line. We felt like we had to get some young guys. We like Caden. We thought he's a physical guy. Probably be a guard for us, play some guard and tackle, good on gap blocking schemes. Like you said, physical kid on the hoof, 6'3", 310. When it comes to linemen, what you're looking for is a guy that'll finish, and you see him on his tape, he'll finish. How does he move his feet? Can he run a gap scheme or a zone scheme? And I think you see a little bit of everything. They were probably a little heavier gap scheme than they were a zone scheme, but I think he'll fit in nicely with what Coach Peacock's trying to do.
Another quarterback, and you would talk about state champions, Brody Pal Heggy.
Yeah, Brody's out at Cardinal Gibbons High School. Not a huge guy, 5'10", 5'11", but, man, just makes plays. Makes plays all over the place. Played in probably one of the toughest divisions down in that area of the state. Won a state championship this year for Cardinal Gibbons. Was able to beat St. Thomas Aquinas. That's right there in the state championship game. Threw for almost 3,000 yards. Ran for another 500 or 600, so he's kind of a dual threat guy. Not a huge guy, but understands how to keep plays alive and where everything is. You got a little Brett Favre action to him right there, and just a really tough, smart kid. One of the things we kept hearing about this kid over and over, just winner. Understands where to put the ball, understands coverages, and I think that's what Coach Bell really liked about him the most is you see how he throws the ball on time, but at the same time, if the play breaks down, he's athletic enough to make things happen with his feet. Very similar to Trey Simmons, and I think that's really what we liked about all our quarterbacks is they all can extend the play. They don't have to necessarily be option type runners, but they can extend the play and make plays with their feet when things happen that aren't real good.
And you see a little bit of Mahomes in him. And I think
absolutely. The
impact
arm angles.
Yeah. The impact of young quarterbacks in the NFL and the kids in the high school ranks. Right. So you're going to see that a lot. Defensive linemen tend to come out of Chattanooga, and Jaden High is going to be the next here at Tusculum.
Yeah, we like Jaden too. A defensive end type kid, I believe out of Red Bank over there. Very athletic, big, strong kid. We think that down the road he's going to be a 240-pound guy. He's probably 225 right now, 6'2", 6'3". We just thought a lot of him. We watched his tape 2 or 3 times. Different moves you see, like little changes, swim move. We stunt and move a lot up front. So I want, again, with our defensive ends, they got to be able to move. They got to be able to drop into coverage sometimes. They got to be able to, stand up, do different things. And I just think Jaden fits that mold and what we do. We were really happy to get him. I thought he was kind of a steal down there in that Chattanooga area. I think it's really good football down there too. And I think he's played against some really good competition, and you just see how hard he plays every day. Really good motor. The thing you look for is fluidity in the hip. See him bend right there. That's pretty impressive. With the way he bends and can turn the corner and then change the direction. That's what I really look for in a defensive end.
Relentless comes to mind when I see the tape. You have to have a guy that can protect these quarterbacks that come in. We got some offensive linemen coming in, but a kid out of a 2-time state champion and Colby Garland has done a good job protecting their quarterbacks.
Yeah, Colby Garland's state captain, of the team over there, a 2-time state champion. Great kid, great family. Physical guy, is going to do the right thing all the time, wants to get after it. She comes from an outstanding program. Obviously, Elizabeth's done an unbelievable job in the last, several years, but even in the last 2, being the, back-to-back state champions, and he was a big part of it. I think he's a kid that you're going to be able to depend on day in and day out. He's running a really good offense there in Elizabeth, and he's versatile in the back in gap scheme, zone scheme, screens, different things that you can do, and you can't ever have enough centers. That's the other thing. That people don't talk about that, but center is one of the biggest things that you always worry about. But we really, really like him, and he's a great kid. He'll be a great fit in our program.
Another kid that'll come to us from Tusculum will be Malik Wooten. Wooten coming out of the area of Georgia. And again, another kid that can come in here and probably going to be able to compete.
Yeah, I expect Malik to compete pretty quickly at either X or Z. He's 6'1". He's probably closer, we took that off the huddle. He's probably closer to 200 pounds. He's almost 6'2". He's a big dude. And comes out of the Jones County program, which was another, I think Warner Robins beat him in the state semifinals. He was their leading receiver. The thing you love about him is he's long, he can run, but he makes plays. Like he's got a couple that, unbelievable catches. He hurdles guys. I mean, for a guy that's 6'2", 6'1 and a half, 200 pounds, he really shows a lot of athleticism, and he really can go get the deep ball, and he catches a lot of 50-50 balls. Like, that's one of the things, like, when you're wide open catching it, that's one thing, right? And getting wide open is a big part of it. But if you're covered and you can move the way he can move and go get the football, that's a huge thing. I think this was one of my favorite plays right here. Makes a guy miss on a kick return, gets going, and I believe he hurdles a guy right here, and then just keeps on running. So that's pretty impressive little clip right there.
Not bad at all. And of course, you like to have these athletic wide receivers that come in. The Pioneers have been able to put together a good crop of that as well. Going to have good competition there. A young man who will come to Tusculum, another quarterback, and a guy that you had the opportunity to see up close and personal in my all-name team in Stone Hatmaker out of Anderson County High School.
Yeah, Stone, another great program. I did get to watch them several times, because my son did play at Greenville this year, so we watched them. But Stone comes out of a really good. I love what they do offensively. I think what they do offensively is is exciting. They do a really good job coaching. I think Stone's been coached up very well on what to look for. Another kid that throws the deep ball, not a huge guy, but it moves good enough, to extend the play, understands where to go with the ball, and that's 90% of playing quarterback. Reading the coverage, being able to throw the football where it is. People don't get enough credit. A lot of it's between your ears. You got to be athletic, but you also have to know where to go. That's a great throw on a corner route on a double end with a corner in the red zone, which you see a lot even in college. So very impressed with Stone and what he was able to do this year. And Anderson County is another great program out of the Knoxville area in Tennessee. They've been very, very good.
Another kid that will come from the similar area is Declan Brewer. You don't see a lot of kids coming out of Kingston, Tennessee, the Yellow Jackets, but what a great program that is.
It really is, and I like this kid. We think he plays kind of a hybrid tight end wide receiver, and that's kind of where we've gone to with our program. And I think this kid's a great fit in that group. He's a big body kid, almost 200 pounds right now. I think he's going to end up being probably a 215 guy that can play, some tight end, but he's an athletic guy. And when you can play those guys that 215 to 225 range at your tight end, they're tough enough to stick it up in there against a linebacker, but they're a hard matchup in the passing game against a linebacker or safety. Too big for safety, too fast for a linebacker. That's what you're really looking for, and I think that's what we got in Declan. He's a guy that does a lot of things for his team, and he was excited. That guy was fired up to be a Pioneer, so that even more makes me more fired up to have him on my football team, because you want to have guys who want to be here.
He was part of the Green Wave, out of Midway High School in the Kingston, Tennessee area. Another kid that'll come here is you brought in a kid that Trey Simmons knows quite well, and that'll be Jackson Boone, out of Bloomingdale High School there down in Florida. And you talked about having that familiarity for him. Yeah,
they're teammates. Jackson's another guy, a big receiver that can really run. He's probably an X or Z. He can really stretch the field. Obviously, he played with Trey. They were friends, and that was a thing when you can go to college with somebody you're buddies with or you're familiar with. That makes things a little bit easier sometimes in the transition for a young player. But you can see right here, good slant. See how he splits the field, and he can really run for a big guy. I mean, 6'2", 185. But he was kind of their deep threat. But again, you see him making plays like this is a great catch, and then being able to split it and then go all the way to the house with it. We think we kind of got a steal with Jackson, too. We think he's a really good player. Coach Bell, Coach Anderson, Coach Dickey, those guys did a great job evaluating receivers, finding guys that we felt like were maybe a little bit of a hidden gem type guy, and they did a great job recruiting this year, really did.
When kids can run past the defense, that would be a hidden gem. That would be a first-sign indicator. Deshaun Corey Parker is our next kid. He's down in the Knoxville area once again, defensive lineman. And I think that, when you have to evaluate him, you have to evaluate technique. And I think at Hardin Valley, they're being coached the right way.
Absolutely. The Hardin Valley coaches do a great job. And what you like there, he's stunting and moving a little bit. He'll probably be a 3 technique for us or a nose. Like I said, 6'1", 280 kid, but he moves. That's the thing for us. Like I'm not a big guy. If you can't run, it's going to be hard to play D-tackle for us and what we try to do with our guys. But you're right. He's very technically sound, makes plays, but he moves well enough to do the things we want him to do at the next level. Obviously, he's just got to keep, the one thing I always tell these guys, don't try to get too big too fast. Just work out hard. Put yourself in a good situation. When you get here, we'll figure all the rest of it out. But we're excited to have him. I think we needed a D lineman in this class, and I think he kind of fits the mold of that interior D lineman that can make some plays with his feet, but still plays solid technique and is really physical.
Not a lot of running backs this season in this particular recruiting class, but obviously 2 really good ones. The next will be Jamichael Baxter out of Chattanooga from Chattanooga Christian School. Heard about this young man. He's not very big at all, but I'm sure he can go.
He can go. I mean, he can really run. We like Jamichael a lot. Played down there at Chattanooga Christian. Physical kid. He's compact, obviously, but he ran really good. I think he came to one of our camps and ran 4.53, 4.52. And, so we were really excited, when he wanted to be a Pioneer. We think he's a great fit. You see him picking up the blitz right there. It's a great job. You can see him catching the ball out of the backfield, running the toss, running the outside zone, some of the different things he can do. I've been really fortunate, and Coach Bell also, we've been around some 5'6" running backs when we were back at JU together, some other that have been unbelievably good. He really reminds us of a kid that we had at JU that was a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher for us. That was 5'6", 175, came in and ended up being about 180 pounds, tough, physical, can really run. And we just feel like with his speed, he's got great balance, that he's going to be a good fit for our offense.
Pioneer team. So welcome to Tusculum University. You've done well in the recruiting area in the state of South Carolina with Newberry. You've done well in the city of Chattanooga this season. That's where Carson Newman picks out a lot of their kids in that particular area. Defensive back coming out of Chattanooga from East Ridge High School is Cam Sanders.
Yeah, Cam Sanders is a heck of a player. I mean, we're going to look at him at DB. He can play a lot of things. He could be a running back. He could be a DB. He was the 4A Offensive Player of the Year in the state of Tennessee. He played quarterback for them, but it was kind of like, hey, get the ball in the best athlete's hands and let him do his thing. But we like him as a nickel, as a safety. Like I said, he can play a lot of different things for you. Cam is super explosive, great kid, comes from an outstanding family. Very, very excited to get him here. Like I said, we were very fortunate, to be able to get him as part of our class, and we're excited to get him here doing the things I expect. He'll get in the mix awful quick. And like you said, we're not afraid to play freshmen. We do it every year. Yeah. And if he's one of those guys that can pick it up and is ready to go, we certainly want him ready to go and ready to play this fall.
The second offensive lineman that comes out of McMinn County High School will be Bodhi Patton, 6'1", 235 offensive lineman. Got to have those guys to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, Bodhi, I mean, like you said, Bodhi comes out of McMinn. They had a great year this year. Kind of ended funky, but a great year. Super young man, very athletic. Probably going to have to put a little bit of size on him, but our tackles and guards, if we can get him up to 265, 270, he can play there. I just like how athletic he is. I really do. The guy really can move around. Great on the zone stuff, reaching people, things like that. But so when he said he wanted to be a Pioneer, we were all about it, and we were very excited to have him. I think these guys at McMinn, if you look at their offensive line, they had some dudes, man. They had some dudes up front, and I think they were very well coached. Very impressive when you watch that, and just to get two of those guys, off that out of that group, we were very excited to have them.
I know they had an exceptional season, and you mentioned it lightly, but yeah, it's a tough way.
It's a crazy way. I can't even imagine going through that.
No question. Alan Vaughn, I know this kid. He's a gamer. I'll just say that. Against one of the greatest rivals there for West Green High School there in Mossheim, Tennessee. It's how you say it properly. Okay. Alan is just one of those kids that it seems like when they were down, he could bring him back.
Yeah, I love this kid, man. I don't. Is he a quarterback? We're gonna give him the opportunity, but he can play something for us. He can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play quarterback. He can do a lot of things. He's gonna find his way in this program, and that's sometimes we're gonna obviously give him the first opportunity at quarterback, but when you have a kid like this, you want him in your program because he's a winner. And you know that he's going to find his way on the field because he's going to outwork somebody. He's athletic enough to beat you with his feet. He's out. You see what he does. I mean, he did an unbelievable job for West Green. But we're excited to get him to stay close to home and get him on our team because I think there's a lot of things that he can do for us very, very well.
If there was one area in the football field the Pioneers took a hit, it was in the defensive secondary for the graduation and the loss, and some great kids that can play in that area. So Kamari Lovett from Miami, Florida is the next defensive back that you're able to recruit.
Yeah, Kamari's out of Miami Killian High School. We got a kid named Witherspoon out of there last year that everybody's going to know about pretty quick. He's really, really good. But Kamari, I call him the 305 Honey Badger. That joker can play. He plays safety. He played running back last year for Miami Killian. He's a safety. He probably will play our Sam or our nickel for us. He's 5'9", 175. We offered him last year, I think, as a running back. And then all of a sudden you start watching him as a DB, and they moved him to DB because they had somebody else transfer in, and they just didn't have any DBs. And then you see him playing. He plays linebacker in the nickel where he blitzes. Like right there. They'll move him to Mike. They play him in the box some. They play him deep. That's why I call him the Honey Badger because he's kind of all over the place on third downs for them. And I just think he's a really, really good fit, versatile fit. Can play corner, can play nickel, can play safety. You can do a lot of things with guys like that. And just a great kid, just really excited to have him as part of what we're doing and part of our program. I think he'll be a really good fit. And if he's we got Jermaine Witherspoon and out of that school last year who's going to play a lot of football here for us. If he's even close to Jermaine Witherspoon, we're in pretty good shape.
I second that. Of course, the good fit for Jerry Odom is fundamental, tough, and gritty, and can be coached. And obviously, these kids are here for that particular reason. Our final high school kid that we're going to talk about will be a guy that's just down the road. As a matter of fact, maybe the same zip code from this particular area. It's Matthew Palazzo. Here's a kid that threw for a ridiculous amount of yards in his career at Chucky Doak. And here's a kid that's big too.
Oh yeah,
Chucky Doak High School.
Yeah, Matthew's a good-looking kid, man. He's put together 6'4", 225, but he's not a big fat. He's just a big old youngin. Yeah. And he runs a lot better than you think he does too. Yeah. And Cade really liked him. He thinks he's made a huge jump from his junior year film to a senior year film. And that was one of the things. And obviously he's an outstanding young man, great academics, comes from an outstanding, people, family, everything else. And yeah, he's right down the street, so why go, anywhere else? So he's going to be in the mix too. That's what I'm saying. We got some really good young players that are going to be in the mix really quick. And we like his makeup. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. You like the kid's makeup. Like you see right here, he runs good. He runs pretty good too. For a big dude, he can move, and we just think he's a good fit for what we do program-wise, kid-wise, the kind of person you want there. And I think he'll just come in and get better and better and better because he's going to try to outwork people.
There's a lot of kids for Matthew Palazzo as well. He's big. He's changed. He even adapted from his junior year to his senior year to be more of a running quarterback. So, again, another one of those coachable type kids
I like
as well. All right, so those are your high school kids, and just some of the other kids that are going to be here. So we got some transfers. We got some guys that are going to make some immediate impacts to this team.
Yeah, I would think so. That was one of the things we worked hard on is looking for guys that could help us, that would want to be here, could be a fit for our program, and so we feel like we've done a really, really good job of bringing guys in to accentuate what our issues were, what our weaknesses were, and then try to make us more athletic in different places on the team. And obviously, offense wanted to kind of put their stamp on the type of kids they wanted to bring in with the guys that we already have here. And I think that's what we really tried to do.
And they were able to accomplish that this season. Looking forward to the year. March 6th, they'll kick it off against the Newberry Wolves. And how excited is the staff and are the players in the fact that we actually have something to look forward to?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the whole point, the kids are excited. They're ready to play. I mean, we're practicing. We're getting after it. It's been challenging. I mean, you're getting your nose scraped, and all that fun stuff. But the kids have adapted to that very well so far, and no issues there. And we, like you said, we just excited to get to play some football. I mean, that's what these kids want to do. They want to get their college education, play some daggum football, and that's really why for me, and I know Doug Jones felt the same way, as we wanted to play. We think we got a chance to be pretty good, but you just don't know how COVID's going to strike. And, but I think it's our job as these kids' coaches and leaders to try to give them every opportunity, as long as it's safe, to compete in what they love to do. And that's how I feel about it. And I haven't changed my feelings one iota since this thing started. We're going to do the protocols. We're going to do everything the right way. And if we can get 5 or 6 games in, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our best to do it, and hopefully that works out. I mean, we're knocking on wood and praying every day that nothing crazy happens, but I do think that the kids are excited to get back to doing what they enjoy. This fall was, in that aspect, was extremely hard. You did get some practices that you're able to get in, but the virus at the time was so kind of, widespread, a little bit out of control, that we didn't get in as many as we wanted to. But just that was a little bit of a blessing, because you saw how much they enjoyed being around each other. That's probably been the hardest part, obviously, Brian, is trying to put a team together when you can't be together very often. You have to be in small groups, and you have to do Zoom meetings, and that's the way it's got to be. I mean, we get it. It's just hard when you're trying to build team camaraderie and all that kind of stuff too. But that's the challenge we have as coaches, is to try to find a way to do the protocols correctly, but still try to build the team the best that you can and get them to meld and be the type of team that you want them to be.
Looking forward to it. Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
March 6th. Good to see you as always.
Good seeing you. I forgot.
Yeah, exactly.
I hadn't gotten any better looking. And you know that's true.
Doesn't
So,
happen in time.
There
right.
you go.
All right. So for all you high school seniors that'll be coming in this year, you see a guy walking around in the summer during the practice fields doing this, and that'll be me. And that'll be that guy with the whistle in his mouth screaming out the plays that need to happen. But looking forward to seeing you guys on campus. Congratulations and welcome to Pioneer Nation as well. For all the guys behind the scenes, Doug and Cory, he's Jerry, I'm Brian. We'll see you on March 6th for the kickoff of the football season and the South Atlantic Conference. Until then, go Pioneers.